Hey guys, what's up? It's Spenny here. Snowflake is on the market now, and I have some super important news that you guys need to hear before deciding to invest in them. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Alright, so I dug super deep into Snowflake's S1 filing, which they're required to do. And luckily for you guys, I work for the Canadian government, and I'm used to reading legal documents all the time, so you guys don't have to. And I found something quite interesting regarding some serious share dilution that's coming our way over the next few months. So make sure you stay tuned for that, because it's definitely important before you decide to invest into Snowflake. And in part 2 of this video, we're going to be looking at what analysts are saying about Snowflake's current valuation. And I think it's super important for you guys to hear this as well, so make sure you watch till then. Okay, so we're going to look at Snowflake's S1 filings, and this is going to show us the potential share dilution that's coming. First thing I want you guys to take note is that on the original S1 filing, right here, IPO investment prospectus, it says that it was filed August 24th, 2020. Okay, you're going to need to know this date in a second, and I'll explain why. This was their first S1 filing, and then they did 2 after that was amended, so they changed a few things within their S1 filing, and that was on September 8th and September 14th. The September 14th one was because they changed their IPO price from $75 to $85 to between $100 and $110, so they upped their valuation a ton. But in this, I want to cover their dilution. So scrolling down in the S1 filing here, we're going to go to the table of contents, and then we can get into shares eligible for future sale. Now, if you're not used to reading legal documents, this can be just hell to read. But I am used to reading them, and even for me, this was a little bit different. But because I don't exactly read S1 filings, it's different, the stuff that I'm used to. Okay, but let's take a look here. It doesn't show in here, but it shows towards the beginning of the S1 filing that there's going to be 36 million publicly traded shares going to market when Snowflake is IPOing here. So the public float is 36 million. It's important to know the amount of shares in the public float, because then when the company, Snowflake, issues more stock, we're able to determine how much dilution is occurring. So the number is 36 million, and in here it says date available for sale in the public market, and then number of shares of common stock. So we need to read here the 91st day after the date of this prospectus. Now, this is why I told you to keep note of the date August 24th, is because that was the date of the original prospectus, not the amended ones. So the 91 days after is going from August 24th, not September 8th and not September 14th. So 91 days is around November 22nd. Just after November 22nd is when they have the opportunity to issue 11,295,000 shares to the public float. So that would be diluting our shares by almost 30%. So how is this possible? Well, reading here, all of our current employees with a title below vice president, current contractors, former employees, and former contractors may sell a number of shares equal to 25% of outstanding vested shares and shares subject to vested stock options. So 25% of outstanding vested shares held by such holders was 11,295. So if these shareholders decide that after November 22nd they want to sell their stock options to the public float, they can. And if they all decided to sell all of that, it would dilute the share count by nearly 30%, because it'd be adding 11 million shares onto a 36 million public float. So then we'd be at 47 million shares in total. First dilution, and that's not even the big concerning one. There's the one just below this that I'm going to read to you in a second that really gets worrying. So here it is. And it's confusing to understand, so I will break it down to you after I read it to you. The second trading day immediately following the day that the closing price of our Class A common stock on the New York Stock Exchange exceeds 133% of the initial public offering price as set forth on the cover page of this prospectus for at least 10 trading days in the 15 trading day period following the 90 day after the date of this prospectus. Okay, so let me explain this to you. If after 90 days of the original prospectus, which was August 24th, if the share price of Snowflake exceeds 133% of the original offering price, so let's just say that the original offering price is 110. Then what would we do? We'd go 110 times 1.33 and we'd come out with a share price of 146. So if after November 22nd, Snowflake's share price is more than 146, then we can look over here on what that means employees can do. And what that is that the employees of Snowflake can sell additional 25% of the outstanding vested holdings held by such holders, and that number is 37 million. So to recap what this is, after November 22nd, it's guaranteed that insiders can sell 11 million shares. And additionally, if the share price is more than $146 after November 22nd, then insiders can sell another 37 million shares, further diluting the stock. Let's just say, for example, they sold all of that, all of their 25% in total. That is an additional 48 million shares. So our original public float would go from 36 million to 84 million shares. That is insane dilution. Of course, this is up to these holders if they want to sell all the shares. They might sell 20% of it. They might sell half that number, 10% of that number. We don't know. But this is a serious risk you need to keep in mind that could happen. For myself, I am very hesitant to buy into Snowflake right away because of this alone and their very high valuation that I'm going to cover in just a second. So just keep in mind, if you aren't invested in Snowflake yet, or even if you are, November 22nd is a very important date for you. I should mention for the 37 million shares that they can issue, that is within a 10-day period after November 22nd. So it might not be on that date exactly. It could be 2 weeks after they decide to sell a portion of their shares. But yeah, if you're already invested in Snowflake, just keep this date in mind that you could be heavily diluted. You might not though. But as a shareholder, it's extremely important to know this kind of thing, because when extreme share dilution occurs like this, the stock price often reacts extremely negatively and it dips big time. So we need to talk about Snowflake's valuation. It is extremely high by any metric. Doesn't matter how you value this company, it's high. Of course, if they can keep up 170% growth rate, well, it could be justified. But there is an analyst who I do like to listen to once in a while. His name is Jim Cramer. And so I want to share this video with you guys.
So if the business is great, if Benioff and Buffett both like it, then what am I doing saying maybe I'm a little nervous? One word: valuation. See, originally Snowflake planned to come public at $75 to $85 per share, but there's been so much demand that the book runners raised the price range dramatically. Now they're talking $100 to $110 per share. Unusual to see an IPO price like that large. It's looking like the company will be able to raise somewhere between $3.5 to $4 billion, and that assumes they don't upsize the deal or raise the price even further, and that's probably a bogus assumption. At the low end of the range, my back-of-the-envelope math says that this would be a $27.7 billion company from day one. At the high end, we're talking $30.5 billion. Assuming Snowflake can keep growing at 133% clip this year, reasonable, they'll have $615 million in revenues. At the IPO price, that means the stock will be valued at 45 to 50 times sales. Of course, if they can maintain a triple-digit growth rate for the next couple of years, that stock's going to look a lot cheaper in the 2023 estimates. But that's a big if. I've got to tell you, even in a market that loves cloud stocks with rapid revenue growth and no earnings, 50 times sales is tough to swallow. Right now, Zoom's the most expensive cloud name in the market, and it sells for 48 times this year's sales. That's the upper end of the range. You got to assume that Snowflake will spike right out of the gate, which means it could be substantially more expensive than Zoom before you get a chance to do any buying. Zoom! So where do I come down? Look, I am torn. I think Snowflake's going to be a great long-term performer. I bet it will have a very strong first week, but the price of admission seems a little too extreme for me, unless you can get in on a deal. Remember, those who get stock will come in and buy more in the aftermarket, and their cost basis will be lower than yours. That if you came in the public market. That's why so many of the buyers are insensitive to price on the first day. Let's say they get, 100,000 shares, which would be a lot, and it comes public at 100, it opens at 200. Well, they buy 100 to 200, they get a basis of 150. You got a basis of 200. Here's the bottom line. If you want a piece of Snowflake and you can't get a piece of the actual IPO, I recommend waiting for the next tech pullback, which we know we had. We had one last week, 10%, before you pull the trigger. When those cloud stocks sell off, they sell off hard. So I have to believe you'll get a better entry point as long as you're patient.
Okay, so I have to agree with Jim Cramer on this one. Coming out of IPO, a 40 to 50 price to sales ratio is just too high for me to jump in right away. The stock has experienced tremendous growth right now, and if it continues, it might be able to justify that. However, I don't know enough about the cloud. So if you guys are really into the cloud, you know lots about it, and you believe in Snowflake, it might be a good option for you to invest in them. However, at this point, I do want to buy into Snowflake, but I'm going to wait for a tech pullback and hopefully get in at a better price. If I don't, that's okay. There's other opportunities in the market. But yeah, comment down below and let me guys know what you think about Snowflake at this price, if you're buying, and tell me your prediction, what you think is going to happen. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and found this informative. If you did, please drop a like on the video and feel free to hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content. All right, thanks for watching, guys.